All right, so we got a lot of functionality in our site. If you go to admin, you can see right here we got view posts, we can edit, delete, do a lot of things on it. We got categories, but what we don't have is in the home site right now. Before we move to another section, we need to, when we click on this post, we need to go to that specific content, right? To that specific post. When we click on the title or the image or whatever, right now we click on it. If I wanted to go and see the rest of the content, right now, even though we don't got much, we don't do that. It just refreshes, right? So we need to add that functionality, and we need to add the functionality of the blog categories there. That when we click on it, it goes to that specific category, and it will show you everything related to that category. But uh, we haven't done that yet. So what we need to do is, we have a post page that I want to show you, and we did that in the beginning, if you remember. That's like a placeholder page. It's called post.php, and this is what we're gonna use for individual posts. I want to copy everything from index and put it here, since we have the sidebar, since the sidebar is the same, the header and the footer are the same, and some of this information is the same. I'm just gonna copy it and paste it here. But I want to preserve the comment section, so we're gonna take that off before we do that copy and paste it and paste. So let's go to line 102 on the post.php, which is in the same root as the index in the home page. And let's go all the way down 2 divs below that nested comment section right here. You see this comment that says ended nested, 2 divs below, just command enter or control exit. That's gonna be all the comment section. Let's go to a new page. Let's paste it. Let's leave it there for now. Let's go back to index. Let's select everything on index, copy it, go to post, select everything, and paste it. So now we have everything here. We want to do a couple things here first. We want to detect the URL, the GET request. When we click on this, we want to send a GET request to post.php and catch it somewhere so we can detect the specific content from this, just like we've been doing in the back. Just like we did here in the view all post, we click here, we send a request here, and we display some information. We're gonna do the same thing there, and we're gonna be detecting this ID right here of this specific post or whatever post. All right. So before we do that, let's go back to that on title, which is that section of the comment that we are holding. Let's do some Command A or Control A and select everything and go back to post. Below the loop right here, let's just paste this whole thing in there. Make sure we have that. All right, perfect. So here we want to display everything, but we need to catch that somewhere. So first, let's go to index. We don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go to index and let me show you what I'm talking about right here. Here we need to get the ID from all the posts, right? So right now we're getting all the titles. Let's get all the IDs right here and post ID right here. And here on the title, what I want to do is I want to make a link to post.php, and I want to pass it a parameter. The parameter that I'm going to pass is that p_id, and that is the key of the array of the get superglobal for the IDs, right? And I'm gonna say equals, and it's gonna be this post ID variable, right? So remember what we are doing here. But as a matter of fact, before we do that, before we put this variable here, we need to have a, let's just take that off, a PHP right there, PHP tag, and we need to echo the post ID. All right, make sure that you echo it, because if you don't echo it, it doesn't work. All right, so hopefully you know what we are doing. All right, we are sending, when people click on this title, it's gonna be right here, actually on the front of the website. We're gonna send a parameter in the URL, and that parameter is gonna be that p_id equals the ID of the post, and that's the same ID that we got right here. when we click on it, you see this ID right here. That's the ID of the post. That's exactly what we're doing right now every time somebody clicks there, right? So we need to catch this before we even make it work. So let's go ahead and catch it on the other side real quick. Let's go to the post.php and let's catch it right here. So we're gonna say if set. What is if set? Can you guess before I put it in here? What are we checking for again? Remember the key of what? Of this array, right? The p underscore what? ID. Remember that. Don't forget. And we are gonna convert. This is the key, remember, and we are referencing the value of each of the posts when it's clicked. Don't get confused. Remember, you are in a loop. So post ID. This is very easy to get confused in the index because you are here in a loop. All right, let me show you. Remember here, this is the loop and it's right here. So this is looping through all the data in our post table. And every time it loops around, it grabs one of the IDs from that specific post and it will assign it to whatever element we use. So let's say the first time it runs through, it assigns the ID to one post, and then when we click on that here on the front page, let's say for example here, it will assign the ID to this content right here because that's where it is at the moment. All right, so right now the first go around is gonna be on, let's say, Edwin Diaz, post ID 28, the image black, whatever. The first time around it would be on my post. The second time around it would be on Jose's post, and the ID would be different. The post author would be different, the date would be different, or the image would be different. All right, every time I ground, all this content changes to a different post. Remember, it's a loop. Remember that we have the while looping here. All right, so get that straight. So let's go to that post.php and we are catching it right here, but we need to make a condition right here because we are displaying all the posts right here on this page, just like we're doing in the index. When we don't want to do that, we want to say where post ID, which is the column in our table, equals what? Equals the ID we are catching in the URL right here. Okay, there we go. And we can actually name it differently so that way we know what's going on. The post ID. All right, and semicolon right here. Actually, not semicolon. Well, this is the SQL. Perfect. All right, so let's see if it works. Let's see if our invention works, right? So let's refresh it and we click on it and we get that page right here. You see that it switched, but you didn't see it. If I click on it, post.php ID, and let me show you that it works. I'm gonna go to another one that's different. Right now you see we are on the home page. If I scroll up and down with my mouse, I get all the posts. If I click on this, it goes to ID 31, and if I scroll down, we get the comment section. So we are displaying individual posts now. All right, and we can add the same functionality to the picture. The same functionality to the picture. All right, if we wanted to, we can create a link. We can go to index and create a link around that picture and send it to that post. Very easy to do. As a matter of fact, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. I'm gonna leave it there just to make it simple. And if for some reason you have any problems, watch this video again. Make sure you get it. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next lecture.